Hello, welcome to the stream. We're gonna do more of the same thing that we've been doing. Gonna turn down the music a little bit, not by too much though. So yeah, where we last left off, we made a quick armature just to put them in a little bit of a pose here. We finished the retopology. What I'm thinking we're gonna do actually though is we're probably gonna just delete this armature. And we're just gonna, so with every bone on the armature, it made what's called vertex groups for each bone in the armature. So what I'm gonna do is, since I'm probably gonna end up making a whole new armature, we're just gonna go ahead and delete all groups. We don't need them. Not yet anyway. So there we go. What we're going to do today, though, is we are going to start marking seams on our character and sort of designating what materials we're going to use. So, I mean, for the general model here, we're probably just going to pick a base like skin color. But eventually what we're going to do is we're going to like actually paint in like details of like, because with skin, especially in the face, it's comprised of a bunch of different colors, really, and there's a whole bunch of people that have talked about the color of like skin and how like blood can affect your skin color and this and that, and how close the skin is to like your skull, for example, makes it a little bit more yellow, whereas like down here it's a bit more bluish, but we'll get into that when we get into it. For now, we're just gonna pick like a solid color. And since we still have, oh yeah, you know what? We still have a retopology, which is the same model. If we remember, we duplicated this and called this one just Jimmy. And then we applied all our modifiers. So for the retopology one, we still have all these modifiers here. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm probably just gonna delete the Jimmy model and we'll just work with this for now. I guess one thing I gotta figure out, well, you know what, let's just go into our UV editing real quick. And let's just hop in and just start designating where we want our seams to be. So we still have our mirror modifier. So anything, so because of the mirror modifier, this whole side of the model essentially doesn't even exist yet. It's just only existing because of the modifier we add. It'll only exist when we apply the modifier. So what we're going to do is, for now, we are just going to mark seams. So like we'll separate the neck from the head by just adding a seam here. Hit Control E and mark seam. And then let's go ahead and separate out the eye socket here. And again, because of the mirror modifier, it's going to affect both sides. So we'll just go ahead and mark a seam there. And I'm debating whether or not we need a seam for around the ear. I'm thinking maybe probably a good idea. We'll just go ahead and do that. And just from that, let's see what we got. So if I just go ahead and hit L and then just select where the seam is, and let's select the ears and the eye sockets as well. Let's go ahead and hit U and unwrap and see what it looks like. The side of the head looks really good. It's kind of coming in pretty close together around where the nose is, but that's actually not going to be too big of an issue. I'm thinking that doesn't actually look so bad either. Now, this is the ear, don't forget, and this is the eye socket, which isn't going to matter because it's behind the eyeball. Let's go ahead, and I think there's a way to see display stretch. So anywhere that's blue, texture isn't going to stretch at all, and anywhere where it's red, it means the texture is dangerously stretching. So like for example, if I take this vertex and just kind of drag it way out here, you can see it start to turn more yellow and greenish as it keeps going, and that basically means the texture is going to be really pinched and stretched on that face. So anywhere where we can avoid that is basically the goal of UV unwrapping. And like some vertices here that get kind of clumped together, you can see there's a bit more greenish than usual, but I mean, this is the inside of the ear, so that shouldn't matter. And yeah, so that actually looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and designate the arms. Put a seam there. Go ahead and separate off the legs by putting a seam right here. That goes all the way around, right? Yep, very good. And let's just kind of, well, we also we talked about this last stream about how we wanted to make sure that these kind of make sense, these sort of edges and where the tips of the fingers are. So we're just going to start there. We're going to just come down here, go to where the tip of the finger is, and then let's just go ahead and do what we planned to do before. Let's just make this whole edge here one great big seam that divides the hand in half. And then don't forget we have our seam that goes down the middle of the thumb here. So we'll just go ahead and make that happen. Now we're just gonna probably just continue down this way. And then let's have our seam come across this way. And then we'll just bring it over here. So we'll go ahead and mark a seam there. So there's our hand perfectly divided in two. Now let's go ahead and just see what that looks like by just selecting both halves here and going U and unwrap. As you can see, not looking so bad. Just a little bit of like light tealish going on here, which is normal. Looking pretty good. And we're also trying to look for vertices that are crossing over each other, because sometimes in the UV unwrap, like for example, sometimes these two fingers will cross over each other and that's not good. We don't want that. But it looks like we're looking pretty good there. What about the torso? I feel like that should be pretty simple, right? This is just, again, one half of the torso because the other half doesn't exist yet. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. It could maybe be a little bit awkward over here, but again, we're not getting much stretching, so that's a good thing. We'll avoid stretching as much as we can, and as a matter of fact, we could probably even separate that out by, we need a seam going down the leg here anyway. But first, let's separate off the foot by marking a seam there, and then let's just go ahead and put a big old seam right in between the legs here by just coming down here, mark a seam there. Now let's see what that looks like. There's our leg, not too shabby at all. No stretching at all, very good. And our torso, we can unwrap this again now that we added that little seam down there. And that looks a much better. As you can see, some of these squares are way more straight and this is able to be separated, so we're not gonna get as much stretching anymore, so that's good. Now, as far as the foot goes, this shouldn't be too hard. I'd say we should probably separate the front of the foot by just doing that and hitting mark seam. And then let's say we divide the foot down, oh, I don't know, from this edge here. We'll just go ahead and put a seam there. Now let's see how that looks. A little bit stretched going on here. Now, if we go ahead and, now let's see, if I go ahead and do this, is this going to be a problem? Yes, it is. Very much a problem. So, if you hit this button, it basically, well, it shows your entire model, but I wonder if we hide some of these, they'll get hidden over there. Okay, good. So let's hide all of what we don't need so far and just worry about the foot. So now with this button on, this is UV sync selection. So what that means is I don't have to have the whole model selected for it to view over there. And if we select, say, these faces right here, we can see what those faces represent over here. So it's these faces, the heel. So let's see. Is this worth fixing? I'd say we could probably, instead of having our seam here, go ahead and clear seam. Let's just have our seam just directly in the middle, just so that it's at least even on both sides. So we'll just go ahead and let's go ahead and bring everything back. I doubt we'll need to do much more fixing. Let's not forget this edge right here. There we go. Now let's just go ahead and turn this off for now. Select this and let's unwrap it again. Definitely much better in the stretching department. It's still a bit stretched down here, but it's no big deal. It's not even green, it's just light teal, so we're doing good. And honestly, as far as the seams go, I think we're looking pretty good. This is a pretty basic human model, so I'd say we're not looking so bad. So if we just go ahead and select everything, and then just hit U, unwrap, it puts everything that we marked seams off into its own little, you know, area on this big grid here. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and select everything. Let's go ahead and rotate it 180 degrees just to get this head facing the correct way. And let's actually turn this 100. Oops. Rotate 180 degrees just to get the top to look right. The rest of these come on. So let's see. So can't forget, this is the ear. These are the toes of the foot, and this is the back of the eye socket. These are both halves of the arms here. So what we can do is, since we're gonna be thinking about like how much detail we want our model to have as far as texturing. So when we put our texture here, as a matter of fact, I can kind of show you this in real time. If we go ahead and go to our shading tab here, this is what our model looks like without any textures on it. If we just go ahead and hit new, we can put a material on it, and we can adjust these settings. Like we can make our whole model metal if we really want to. We can adjust things like the roughness. We can make it all glossy and smooth, or we can make it like a matte texture. I think we'll leave this at what it was, 0.5, right? Yeah. But yeah, you have all these settings you can change as far as the material goes, but what we're interested in is we're gonna add a image texture. And with the Node Wrangler add-on, I'm gonna hit Control T to get my mapping and texture coordinate nodes. Not that we're really gonna change any settings on here, but they're just good to have just in case. We're just gonna go ahead and make a new image. I'm just gonna call this test. And the width and the height look good, and the generated type, we're gonna do a color grid. So we could just kind of pull that image up over here real quick. We could just pull it up. This is what it looks like. And then if we go into our shading tab and just plug it in where the base color is, you can see what we are doing essentially. So if we just go back into UV editing, you can see which of these things that we've basically unfolded onto this larger map, how it represents it on the model itself. So let's just go ahead and turn off the extra stretching viewer so that they're transparent again. So as you can see with the torso here, can't forget up here, this is where the shoulder is. It's kind of hitting the H6, H7 mark, and as you can see, there's H6, there's H7, and then as it goes down, kind of comes into the E section here, all the way into the E5 area. As you can see, it's being represented on here. So that's how textures work in really any video game. I don't know of any game that does it differently. So what we're gonna do is we are going to just get rid of this preview here because it's a little distracting. What we can do is we can't forget about how detailed we want our texture to be on the certain areas of the model. So I'm thinking, as far as like if we want close-ups, let's go ahead and take our head and make it pretty big, because The most recognizable part of the body is probably the face, like I keep mentioning. You can probably go ahead and make the ear a bit bigger too. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and revert that. I'm gonna make it so that it's by individual origins. Let's take our ear and let's go ahead and scale these up proportionally so that they're roughly the same size. And we can make this thing pretty darn big because we'll be able to adjust it later. Let's go and select everything. UV pack islands. So now we can see that it's adjusting for the scale of everything. And then we can go ahead and turn off rotate because we want our orientation to be roughly the same. Now, I only just did this with the other character I was working on, and I found it worked really well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually take these islands, and you know what, I'm gonna turn off the subdivision and the smoothing just to make it go a little bit quicker so it's not lagging so much. I'm just gonna go ahead and take everything, turn it on to the bounding box center and just scale everything back down. So proportionally, the head's still bigger than everything else, but now we can make it so that they all fit on exactly 1/2 of the UV grid here. So let's put the head over here. We can make it a little bit bigger, no problem at all. Now, the torso doesn't really matter so much because he's going to be wearing a shirt, but just in case there's any part of the torso that's showing, like maybe, for example, he's wearing like maybe his PJs, he's wearing like a sleeveless shirt and you can see like the part of his torso here. I don't know. So that doesn't need to be too big. Maybe we can put that around there. Let's go ahead and take our leg. We could probably move it, I don't know, over here maybe. We can go ahead and take the ear. We could just kind of put it over here. Let's go ahead and take our toes and our eye socket. And let's go ahead and bring it over here. And actually, you know what? We could probably make the toes bigger, because this is what's going to be showing when the character wears socks. Let's go ahead and make our toes pretty big. This is the foot over here, so let's go ahead and bring that down. We can probably make the foot size a little bit bigger because, again, this is going to be important to show. There we go, maybe something like that. And let's go ahead and grab our arm. And let's just go ahead and rotate it by -90. Now, we can actually take our arms, we can put them like this maybe. And then we can just go ahead and take both of these and just make them a bit bigger. Because if we're gonna be showing like a sleeveless shirt, then it's important that you get a lot of detail in the arms and especially the hands too, because we can't forget that the way we did our unwrap here is we have our hands kind of connected to the arms here. And as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and put a seam around the wrist here. So, arc seam. Let's go ahead and re-unwrap our arm and our hands here. So let's go unwrap. So now, our arms and our hands are separated. And actually, you know what? We can probably just make the arm one great big seam here by clearing the seam here so that it's all connected. And then just unwrapping it. So now we have a separate top and bottom hand as well as one full arm to work with. So we can just go ahead and make the arm, let's say roughly the same size as the leg here, by just kind of eyeballing it. And then we can just go ahead and maybe slap that over here or something. And then we can take our hands, make them a bit smaller. And then let's go ahead and move them down here maybe. A bit of a puzzle. Find room for everything here, so if we have to, we can just maybe make this a bit smaller. Let's go ahead and grab these. Maybe bring them up here so that we have a bit more room on this side to work with. Go and grab our leg there. This is our arm. Maybe put that there. Now we have a bit more room down here to work with the hands. So let's just go ahead and grab both of these. Maybe we can scale them up a bit more. Now we have more room. And then we can put, like, I don't know, maybe a hand there. Oops. I want to kind of scale them both evenly. And then, actually, we can probably go ahead and move this up. Move this up here. Go ahead and take this, rotate it, so that it can kind of fit in here. And then this can go maybe right here-ish. Now that we have a bit more room down here, we can go ahead and make these a bit bigger. Just like that. Just like that. So the arm is going to have less detail than the hands. That's okay, because I actually might want the character to be wearing a long sleeve shirt anyway. So that looks pretty good. And of course, there's still more room for if we want to add more things later. So let's just go ahead and save that. Let's go into our shading here. And this is now kind of what the character looks like with everything unwrapped and whatnot. So what we're gonna do now is we are just going to, because there's still one more thing that we have to directly model with the character, and everything else is just going to be a separate object, and that is going to be the inside of the mouth. So we're just gonna go ahead and the inside of a mouth, or the inside of the mouth is a bit of a problem because we have this shrink wrap modifier, and that is going to shrink wrap to the sculpt we made. And if we remember, we did not in fact sculpt the inside of the mouth with this, so everything's just going to kind of shrink wrap to the outside of the mouth there, so we don't want that. So what we're going to do instead is we are basically going to duplicate this. We're going to call this Jimmy, and we're going to apply everything just like we did last time. So we're just going to go ahead, and now that we duplicated it, we still have our unwrap here, don't forget. So we're just going to go ahead and apply everything except for the mirror modifier. So we'll just go ahead and apply the subdivision. Actually, let's just get rid of the subdivision because we're going to still subdivide it by 1, but we're going to do it in a different way here in a sec. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that. Apply the shrink wrap, and we could still probably apply the smooth as well. So that, again, leaves this ugly little gap in the middle here. We'll fix that in a sec. But before we do, we can actually take advantage of this by just coming into the UV editing here. And actually, no, we can't do that yet. I was going to say, because we still haven't applied the mirror modifier, what this is basically going to do is when we come into the UV editing, everything, all the islands here that we made are going to just be on top of each other when we applied the mirror. So there's going to be 2 of the same exact head shape, 2 of the exact same torso, everything here. And what we're going to basically do is we're just going to select his right side, our left side of the entire model, so that only the left side islands are visible, and we're just going to basically flip them over to the other side, but we're not going to do that yet because we still have to model the inside of the mouth. What we're going to do is we're going to take the middle here and just kind of smoosh them together, and then we'll just get started. I guess we're just going to kind of approximate it. We'll just sort of grab this little loop we made here. Now we're gonna kind of give them lips, so we're just gonna go ahead and extrude it on the Y, and then just kind of, actually let's kind of close it a little bit. So you know what might be easier is if we split this view and then just kind of split this view. Let's get rid of all of our little settings here and whatnot. And let's go ahead and make this a perfect front view, and let's make this a perfect side view, just so that we can see what we're doing. Actually, we want that to still be visible. Go ahead and do it. And then over here will be like the sort of 3D viewport. So yeah, we want to give it a bit of thickness, so we'll just go ahead and do that. And then we'll just go ahead and do that maybe. So those are going to be the lips. And now, actually, why don't we go ahead and drag these a bit farther back here. Just a little farther back. And then let's just go ahead and do it another time, and this time we're going to make it pretty big. And we're going to scale it on this side as well. So this is going to be the inside of the mouth cavity here, so we're just going to go ahead and smooth out some of these vertices here by just doing that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Do something like that maybe. And then let's just go ahead and we can probably pull this back just a little more. Let's go ahead and scale it on the Y to 0. And then let's just go ahead and root it on the Y again. Pretty far back this time. I'd say roughly, I don't know, here-ish. And let's go ahead and add a loop cut right here. Let's just scale that on the Z. Maybe, I don't know, bring this up a little bit so it's going to kind of do something like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to extrude it again. This time we're going to bring it down on the Z. We're going to rotate it on the X by 90, by -90. Something like that maybe. We're just going to bring it over here-ish, and we're going to just scale this down and make this sort of like that. And then we're going to add a loop cut here. And we're just going to kind of bring this up a bit. Something like that. So that if you ever do see on the inside of the mouth, you can kind of see that it goes down and back in there. Not that you're going to really be able to, but, you know, something like that'll work. And then there we go. That's the inside of the mouth. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to make a seam for this area here. So anything this that's selected is already UV unwrapped up to where the seam is. The rest of the stuff we just made. So what we're going to do is we're probably going to take this and just put an edge right at the side here, and it's going to do the same on the other side because we still have the mirror modifier. So there we go. That's basically what the inside of the mouth is going to be. We don't have to worry about closing this hole here because no one's going to really see it anyway. And then what we're going to do is this is just going to be one more thing that we have to unwrap here. So we'll just come into our UV editing, come inside our model here, just kind of select both halves of this if we're able to. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. It's a little bit hard to control here, it's a little wonky. But we'll just go ahead and select both halves there, and we're just going to go ahead and hit U and unwrap. So that is a lot of unnecessary detail for what's essentially the inside of the mouth. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and just bring it way down, because we don't need, it's probably just going to be like a solid color anyway. And we'll just fit it where there's an empty space. Right there. And we like bring it apart. So there we go. That is the entire model. All unwrapped and nice looking. So yeah. Let's see. You know what I'm thinking is we might have to just go ahead and, because in the sculpt here, I'm just kind of noticing in the sculpt we had all this painted in detail for the ear that we kind of lose when we apply that that modifier, the skin wrap modifier, on the first level of subdivision. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply the mirror modifier, and let's go ahead and add that modifier back in shrink wrap on the sculpt. And you're going to see what happens to the inside of the mouth now that we fully modeled it. As you can see, it all kind of gets bunched up near the front here, and it just kind of warps in on itself and doesn't look good at all. So what we're going to do about that is we are going to basically select the inside of the mouth by just disabling the modifier. Just select the inside of the mouth. We're going to go ahead and hit Control I to select everything else. And we're going to make a vertex group. We'll just call it shrink wrap. And then just hit assign. So that all these vertices, and even these vertices too, can get assigned to the shrink wrap modifier. And then we're just going to come into our modifiers here and then just select it. So that should fix it if we enable the modifier again. As you can see, literally everything else gets affected and this does not, which is what we want. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add a multi-resolution modifier, and we're just gonna go ahead and put this on top she. Now we are going to just hit subdivide, and this is gonna literally do the exact same thing as the subdivision surface modifier. The reason we're using this as opposed to that is because we can just go ahead and just kind of now noticing that the ear's looking a little bit funky. We might have to mess with that a little bit. Let's just go ahead and hit subdivide a few more times, maybe up to like level 3 or so. Maybe something like that. So now, since this is a new modifier on a new model, for some reason it's giving us a little bit of pinching here. What if we just go ahead and add our smooth modifier back? Just out of curiosity, what does that look like? We just go ahead and, yeah, that's, gross. Not do that. I'd say let's just go ahead and fix some of these points here that are kind of pinching. Now in edit mode with the multi-res modifier, you can only see the initial level of subdivision, and then when you tab out, then you can see the full subdivided model. So we do gotta kind of guess a little bit, unfortunately. Ugh, that's pretty gross. How am I gonna do this? Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead. Well, first of all, let's just go ahead and maybe try that, see what that does. Do too much now, does it? Quite a pickle indeed. Now we still have a retopology model, just in case we mess anything up with this one. We'll just go ahead and some adjustments just to see what it does. For some of these, just get rid of some of that pinching we got going on here. Pickle indeed, this sure is. If we go ahead and select our model and shade it flat so that we can see the individual faces, maybe that'll help us determine how we're gonna do this a bit better. Quite a pickle this is. Oh, that kind of did something. Okay, bringing these in seems to kinda... Oh, you know what? I just remembered, we applied our mirror modifier so that anything we're doing on this side's not working on that side, so that's a bit of an issue. You know what? Let's just go ahead and... We can just go ahead and ditch this model and just start over again. We didn't really do much anyway. Let's go ahead and bring this back. Now, if we apply our subdivision, looks fine here. a little bit of pinching, but not as much as it was on the other model. If we shade flat, I am starting to notice where it was pinching earlier. You know what? What I think we should do is, I think the mistake I made was, let me just go ahead and shade this smooth again. Go ahead and duplicate it like we did before. Go and call this Jimmy. Go ahead and get rid of this. Let's set our subdivision to level 1. And then apply it. Go ahead and apply everything like we did before. So we have a lot more vertices to work with, but oops. Turn on that off. We have to make the inside of the mouth again, but that's not going to be a huge issue. I'm just going to go ahead and apply the mirror modifier. I'm just doing a little bit of an experiment here. Let's go ahead and add back in our multi-res and our shrink wrap. Make the shrink wrap target the sculpt. And let's subdivide in our multi-res. Okay. There we go. Except I think we should probably stick to, can I unsubdivide? I sure can. That just unsubdivides everything, doesn't it? But it added a new layer. That's weird. I'm kind of learning along with everyone else here, so just give me a hot minute. I'm just gonna go ahead and add this back in along with our shrink wrap. Kind of do this again here. Got the sculpt, and then let's just subdivide it twice, because in our retopology model we have our subdivision set to level 3, and since we applied the subdivision with level 1, that means the retopo or the multi-res being at level 2 is the same as the other thing being at level 3, so we're just going to leave it at that. Now the thing with the multi-res modifier is when you subdivide it, it actually saves what you subdivided so that you can actually go back, let's say to level 0 here, and then we can make like the inside of the mouth, and then it should save it. The only problem is, I think if we add in our mirror modifier again, and we try to put this back on top, it gives us an error down here, cannot move above a modifier requiring original data. And that's just because of what I just said, it saves what you subdivided. I'm actually gonna get rid of this for now, as well as this for now. And let's make the inside of the mouth real quick again. Actually, did we? Because this doesn't look like it was originally. Oh, was it because we unsubdivided it? Oh, so when we hit unsubdivide, it actually unsubdivided it what we applied the modifier with too. So what we're gonna do is, let's do take 3. Not that that model wouldn't have been any good or anything, but I just like to be thorough, because we didn't do much anyway. Let's go and do the same thing, except this time we'll apply it with 1 level of subdivision. Grab, smooth, keep the mirror modifier. So yeah, we have all these vertices to work with now. Bring these in, beautiful. Yeah, that's fine. Now, before we get sidetracked, let's make the inside of the mouth again. Shouldn't take too long. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a little bit more detail now that we have a subdivision to work with here. I'm actually gonna bring it in on the X as well. Just these lips here. I'm just gonna drag it one more layer back. Something like that. And now we'll just go ahead and do the same thing we did before. Just extrude on the Y, scale it on the Z, kind of smooth these vertices out a bit. Just like we did before. We're just doing a little bit of experimenting today. I think this vertex was down here, right? This one go there. Yeah. This one. Go ahead and just smooth out that mouth cavity here, just like we did before. Alright. Now that we're back on track, let's just go ahead and do the exact same thing that we did before. Not worrying too much about detail, just kind of doing our thing. Same thing we did before. Make this go down 90 degrees. Just kind of scale it in, just like that. And then let's just make it so it kind of goes gradually down like that. Matter of fact, we can probably actually that as well. Alright, now let's do what we did before. Go ahead, add a seam right here, add a seam, and then let's just come in here. This edge here is our seam. So we'll just come down here and then to this one. It's our seam. We'll go ahead and just tap that. UV editing. Oh boy. Oh, that's because we have the sculpt on. Go ahead and come in here. Take what we made. Both sides. A bit hard to control here. Let's go ahead and unwrap it. Oops. There we go. And then we'll just put these where we originally were gonna put it. Hopefully, this should be fine now. Now that we gave it one more level of subdivision. So I'm just gonna do, again, same thing I did before. Go and select both halves of these. And Control I. Go ahead and make a vertex group, call it shrink wrap. Like this layer of vertices as well, hit assign. So I'm gonna save it this time. And I'm gonna try the exact same thing I did before. So let's go ahead and apply the mirror. Let's go ahead and get our multi-res and our shrink wrap. Let's make the target the sculpt and our vertex group the shrink wrap. So we still have inside of the mouth, beautiful. Now let's subdivide and see if we can see any pinching. And it looks like we're in the clear. So it's just because we added that extra layer of subdivision when we applied it. And now when we subdivide it here, there's not as much pinching, which is a little weird, but I'll allow it. Now, the whole reason we went through that entire process is because what I was about to say earlier before I distracted myself, with the multi-resolution modifier as opposed to the subdivision modifier, is with this you can sculpt on top of it. Now what we can do is we can actually come in, I'm not going to do it yet, but when we come into our sculpting tab, we can actually do things like sculpt in incredible detail, like the chap marks on the lips, or like maybe even pores if we really want to do that. We can add in more details around the ear, like the eyelids, maybe give the nose more definition, stuff like that. The only reason we did the sculpt the way that we did before is just to get the original, like the main body shape and like elements of the body done, like the muscle groups, the way the face looks, the general shape of it all. Now, with the multi-res modifier, we already did our retopology, so it's essentially going to subdivide it in the exact same way the subdivision surface would. So that's the detail that we're going to be using to sculpt. We're not going to add in any more extra detail unless we're doing it to the entire model, and it's also going to stay in this sort of grid pattern here in the way that we did our retopology, if that makes any sense. And I hope it does. So yeah, that's the main thing that I want to try and do from this, but we're not going to do that yet. We are going to go ahead and we have everything here. Now, when I said that this saves everything, that it subdivides after you subdivide it, that includes any modifiers after the multi-res modifier. So what we would be able to do is we'd be able to apply our shrink wrap modifier, and it will save it here. So that might be something, I might want to do that later. For now, I'm a little scared to do it right now because we might still need it. But we might want to apply this, then maybe do our incredible detail sculpting, and then what we can do later is we can actually bake this into a normal map, but that's a whole other thing, and I don't want to spend time explaining it now, because all we're going to do right now is we are just going to do bam, skin, done, beautiful, next. There we go, that's our skin. Great, let's make eyes. Let's just go ahead and turn the model over in front here. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm just going to add a UV sphere. We don't want too much detail, so we're probably going to do like 16 by 8. Now, unless we want to get like a really nice close-up of the eye, which we might want to do, so I'm actually gonna probably leave the detail the way it is by doing 32 by 16. Great, looks good. We're just gonna go ahead and rotate it by 90 degrees. Go ahead and shrink it. Kind of move it over here. Then we're gonna add our mirror, just like that. Now let's go ahead and fit this into our eyes here by just kind of doing something like that. Kind of see how that looks. Now I'm gonna pull up my reference here just to kind of get a sense of what the eyes on the face actually look like. So there's actually a little bit of a gap on the outside portion of the eye, just a little bit. And then on the inside of the eye, there's also just a little gap, but not too much. Let's go ahead and maybe push these forward a little bit as well. So that we still have, so yeah, it looks not too bad. So we still have definite eyelids that go over where the eye is, and it's shaped nice, so it fits in there nice and good. Yeah, looks good. Let's go ahead and come into edit mode here. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. Just go ahead and make a couple edge loops right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select this edge loop, put the 3D cursor to the middle of that selection there. And let's just go ahead and select all these. So what we're going to do is by the 3D cursor, we are going to scale what we selected on the y-axis by -1, so it's kind of flipped in on itself there. And then what we're going to do is, let's actually take this and kind of push this in a little bit, because this is going to be the sort of, actually, let's go ahead and dissolve the edges there just so it's perfectly flat, and then let's go ahead and re-add that edge loop back there, because that's going to be the iris of the eye. Actually, you know what? Dissolve it. This is going to be the iris. Well, wait, where is the iris? This whole thing should be the iris, I'm pretty sure. Let's go ahead and select everything here and just scale this back. Yeah, this, by scaling that back, it's easier to tell that this area here is basically going to be the iris. Let's go ahead and actually dissolve this edge. And then we can sort of push this back a bit more. That's going to be the pupil. Now, what I've seen people do with the eye is they will actually go ahead and, let's delete that vertex there so we have a hollow sort of thing going on here. What I've seen people do is they'll actually extrude it and scale it up like this, and then scale it back, and then bring this down to a point like that, so that there's this little chamber in the back of the eye here, so that I think it has to do with the way that the light is going to reflect off of the pupil. So we can just go ahead and bring this forward a little bit so it's not clipping into the eye socket. I don't know, we'll just give that a try and see how we feel. Go ahead and shade smooth. Now let's go ahead and add an edge loop here and an edge loop here, so that, as you can see, it's a little bit hard to tell, but actually we can turn this off. Oh yeah, that's much easier. You could see the exact shape of the iris as this sort of sharp seam here, and actually let's go ahead and add this edge loop right here. We could probably add a third one right here, why not? So as you can see, it's this definite eye shape that you can very easily tell what it's supposed to look like. Now let me look at my reference here. Does that need to be, that probably needs to be bigger. Yeah, that this iris should probably be bigger. So let's go ahead and let's select this edge loop. Go ahead and select all of these. And let's just go ahead and make it a bit bigger. Let's do it by the 3D curve. And let's push this back in a little. This edge loop we can just kind of on over like that. Looks a bit better. Now we can probably go ahead and just grab the entire eye, and then maybe it's a bit too far forward. Maybe we can just back a little. Probably be able to make the whole eye. Well, why not? Or to push this back. Now, let's go ahead and just take the pupil here and make it a bit small. Okay, let's select this. Let's put the 3D cursor to selected. Go ahead and take these. I have a 3D cursor. Let's go ahead and just scale these in here a little bit. So that should be the shape of the eye that we can actually probably a bit too far back. Let's go ahead and push it forward again. It's a bit hard to tell because the shape is very defined, so it doesn't look that realistic, but we go ahead and do that. Now let's take the inside of the pupil here, and you know what, let's just go ahead and just get rid of all this. I don't think we'll be. Now we can actually probably grid fill this area here. That even centered, it actually is. Wow, look at that. And then I'd say as far as the back of the eye goes, honestly, we probably don't even need these faces. Go ahead and get rid of those. Cursor to World Origin, just to get that out of here. And there's our eyes, at least for now. Let's go ahead and we're on a little bit of a roll here. Let's go ahead and add teeth. I'm just gonna rename this to eyes. Now for the teeth, I'm just gonna go ahead and find a quick reference of teeth going on here. Now he is a 10-year-old boy, but he probably still has baby teeth, so let's go ahead and search that. Honestly, this little reference here for how many teeth a human body has. Also, this is basically, I don't think I ever showed you this, but this is basically my reference sheet. I just pulled all these images off of Google, and this is what I'm using to reference the character off of, just kind of glancing at it back and forth. So I just literally drag and drop picture from Google onto here, and then it's just something I can look at on my other monitor while I work on this. So just go ahead and do that. Resize it. Alright. So it looks like we're just gonna do 10 teeth on top and 10 teeth on bottom. So let's just go ahead, and what I usually like to do is I like to add in a curve, a Bezier curve, and then in edit mode, and we put the first point at the cursor. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and drag this whole thing up and just sort of fit it to where the inside of the mouth. So that point should probably, that first point should probably go like right here-ish. And I'm just gonna do it like right in the middle because I'm gonna try and make this the basis for the top and bottom teeth. So we'll just kind of do that as best as we can. And I'm just gonna put on see-through mode. And then let's just go ahead and take this point without worrying about the scale yet. I'm just gonna put the points down real quick. Maybe in top view, we'll just kind of come back here a little bit. Not too far, I'm thinking maybe, oh, I don't know. Right here-ish. Let's go ahead and at the bounding box center, just go ahead and scale this in. Just like so, and we'll do the same over here. There we go. Now I'm just gonna rotate this by, I'm gonna do like that, perfect. And then this by 90 as well. And I'm just gonna scale these so that it looks pretty decent. I don't know. Maybe something like that, I guess. I don't know. And this is all still inside the mouth cavity, so that should work for us just fine. So that's our teeth curve. I'm just gonna name it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just add in a plane. I'm gonna do what we always do with planes. Loop cut down the middle, get rid of the side, add a mirror. Now I'm just gonna rotate this by 90, and I'm just going to add a curve modifier, and then plop it on the teeth curve. Now I'm actually going to do the curve before the mirror so that it does the curve and then it does the mirror. And then I'm just going to enable clipping, bring these in here, and let's just see what it looks like. Honestly, not too bad. Not too bad. So I turned off the mirror. Well, the mirror's still on, it's just I turned off the visibility in edit mode so that I can edit the teeth down here. And as a matter of fact, let me get this set up. I'll be able to edit the teeth here, and I'm going to split my view so that I can come up here. We still want this mode on here. We can come in here and then just see what it's doing inside the mouth here. So what I'm going to do probably is take this by the 3D cursor and just scale this all the way down so that we have roughly what the size of the teeth are going to be. So they're going to be pretty darn small teeth. And we established 10 teeth, so what this basically is one big tooth. Now we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 teeth. Now let's go ahead and work on the top teeth first before we work on the bottom teeth, so I'm just going to drag this up here. It's not looking too bad here. I might want to come into the curve and just sort of, just sort of edit these real quick. Just edit the scale so that maybe I don't know. It's not so flat near the front. Something like that maybe. And what we can probably do is we can probably actually come in our model and take this and just bring this down a bit more, down and back, so that we sort of have an idea of like gums maybe, I don't know. That might be a bit too much actually, so let's just go ahead and not do that. I think that looks fine. Hopefully that shouldn't be too much of a problem. If it is, we can always fix it later. So what I'm gonna start doing now is I'm just gonna make these indications of where teeth are gonna be in the model. So what I usually like to do is I like to just add some loop cuts on either side. Now we're starting with the, let's see, the incisors. So those are just kind of small little, oops. Why are we snapping over here? What's the big idea? Why are we snapping? Probably don't want that. Probably that. Okay, there we go. The clipping was just causing a little bit of an issue here, but we don't have to worry about it right now. So we're just gonna kind of go ahead and make the little indication of teeth here. And actually, we could probably take this whole top and just bring it down here, maybe. Now we can probably add a loop cut in the middle and just sort of give it a point. Something like that, maybe. And maybe we can just come in here and just, I don't know, bring these up. I don't know. Something like that, I guess. Now, these teeth are small, so I might want to actually come in here and by the 3D cursor, sort of scale this down a little bit. Something like that, maybe. Maybe like that. Let's just go ahead and keep making these teeth here. I just taking these, go ahead and drag these down. So these are what looking like on my reference is the lateral incisors. Or no, these are still the central incisors. So we'll just kind of, maybe we can make it a little bit bigger. I don't know, something like that. These are the lateral incisors, right here. So we'll just go ahead and do something like that, maybe. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually, you know what? I made a little bit of a mistake. I forgot to remember that we have a mirror modifier. So let's just go ahead and delete that. We have, like I said, 10 teeth on top, 10 teeth on bottom for a child set of teeth. So that's 5 on each side, accounting for the mirror modifier. So let's actually go ahead and make this way bigger. And then just so it accounts for the whole curve. I was kind of wondering because it seemed like the teeth were going to be way too small there. So just glad we were able to adjust for it there. Yeah, that looks much better. That is 100% much better. Now, give me 1 second because my headphones are having a little bit of a dying issue. How am I gonna do this? I apologize. I'm gonna have to set the mic down for just a second. Sorry for the loud impact noise you might hear on the desk. I'll be right back. And we're back. I sincerely apologize for that. My headphones were just dying and I needed to take care of it. I got them plugged in now. We're all good to go. These are the molars, of course. The first and second molars, really. Let's just go ahead and bring these down here. And let's go ahead and add our middle edge loop here, and let's kind of bring this up a little bit. And we'll just kind of do this. Just like so. Now if we go ahead and shade smooth for this, kind of see it a bit better. It's not looking so bad. Now what we can, now what we can do, we can give this some thickness by applying a solidify modifier to it. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty thick, but a little bit too thick. So let's just go ahead and dial that back a little bit. I'd do it maybe 0.1, something like that maybe. And let's go ahead, we don't need that much detail, so let's do only rim, just like that, so we don't get the back face, we just get the front face. And honestly, We got some pretty good looking teeth here. And when we apply these modifiers, we are going to go ahead and adjust the thickness for the molars even more so that it makes a little bit more sense. But for now, what we got, looking good. Go ahead and take what we made here. And what we can do is we can actually come over here and drag this in front of the curve here just a little bit. And then what we can do is we can duplicate this whole thing. Let's do scale on the z-axis by -1 to flip it upside down. And then let's go ahead and drag it back on the curve. Now we do have to go ahead and come in here to mesh normals, flip, just to get the faces to go the correct direction. Let's go ahead and we can probably drag these down way more. Maybe something like that. I don't know. Something like that. So now, we got 2 sets of teeth going on in here. So there we go. What I'm gonna probably do, actually, is take this curve because the mouth might be a bit too big, or the teeth curve be a bit too small. Let's go ahead and make this a bit bigger. Let me just go ahead and put the cursor here. And by the 3D cursor, just go ahead and maybe just scale it on the Y. And then scale it on the X. To just sorta. We're gonna have to adjust the size of the actual teeth as well, so we'll do that in just a second. So for now, a bit tough to judge. I'm thinking maybe something like that. Maybe we can take this and sort of curve it in more, because we can make this a bit bigger. Something like that, maybe. Now let's go ahead and make our teeth a bit bigger. Oops. Kind of have it accidentally curving up a bit. We don't want that. Let's go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and put the selection back on the cursor and then just put it back kind of roughly where it was. Bounding box, let's go ahead and scale this in a bit. Bit hard to judge, bit hard to tell, but I think we should probably leave it like that for now. And then let's go ahead and take both of these. Let's put the cursor back to the world origin, and then by the cursor, let's just go ahead and scale this up pretty significantly. So that we have maybe our 2 front teeth showing, and then the incisors, and then the molars in the back there. Looking pretty sharp, pretty snazzy. Go ahead and maybe drag this up a little bit. See it better. There we go. Now let's turn our clipping back on, and then just kind of take these and drag it in a bit more, just to be able to smush those together. There we go. Now let's actually, what if we put the mirror after the solidify? How's that gonna work? I'm just looking at this little gap here in the center. So I'm just trying to kind of figure that out real quick. I think that might have to do. I think after we apply the modifiers, then we'll be able to fix that. Yeah, I think we got our teeth looking pretty darn good. So we'll just go ahead and save that. Come back over here. And it's gonna be really hard to tell. I'm just gonna turn off the teeth curve real quick. But we got teeth inside that mouth. Pretty epic. Add a tongue. Why don't we add a tongue now? if we just come into our, here, we can just add a UV sphere. This we don't need as much detail with. I'd say we can probably get a 16 and 8 for this. We're just gonna go ahead and rotate it on the X like that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to select all of these, not the middle vertice. I'm just gonna delete it all. And I'm just gonna come in here, delete that, delete all this. We're gonna add in our favorite modifier, add a mirror. I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively shade smooth. And I'm just gonna come in here and make this as flat as I can make it. And as fill it in like that. And then just kind of stick that boy in there. Not being too specific with it. By a bounding box. Go ahead and turn on clipping. Kind of want to see what the inside looks like here. I'm thinking maybe by the 3D cursor still. Let's just go ahead and scale it, even though it's gonna mess up the proportion on the Z-axis, but that's not to worry. We'll fix that in just a second. So the tongue kinda something like this. I'm not gonna be too specific with it. I'm just gonna kinda guesstimate it. Now for the front view, let's go ahead and take what we made and just bring it up here inside the mouth. Scale it down a bit. And let's just kind of see what that looks like. We got maybe a tongue in there now. I'd say we aren't looking too bad. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we could just go ahead and, since we don't really need to see all this, we just go ahead and drag it back. And then when we animate the inside of the mouth for the lip syncing and the talking, we're just going to animate basically the front part, and we're just going to leave these attached to the head bone. So my problem is now, is this tongue going to be thick enough? I think it might. I'm just going to kind of bring it here, so it's kind of sitting down here at the bottom of the mouth. I think that's a pretty. And there we go. So this is basically all the essentials for a in order to make a human, this is all the essentials. So I'm just gonna save my sort of reference sheet here, sort of close that. What else? I'm almost kind of wanting to call it here, even though I know it's a bit early. Only because, alright, you know what? How about this? Well, first off, let's go ahead and name everything we got here. So, this is the tongue. What's this sphere for? Oh, those are the temporary eyes. We can go ahead and delete that. These are the teeth. So there we go. And then everything we basically have the eyeball thing off for. Let's go ahead and disable the camera for as well. So that whenever we make any renders of this character, then those objects aren't going to show up in the render either. And we know what objects are going to be most important for the actual character. So let's see, what else? Let's write out a little to-do list here. So I'm just going to add in some text. That. I'm just going to rotate it. Oops. Rotate it. That. Maybe bring this down a bit, move it here. Actually, I'll just leave it down. Actually, no, I'll move it up. So, let's see. To do, what do we got? Let's go ahead and turn on our texture view to remind us that we need to do some texturing eventually. So we'll probably do texture for the body, eyes, teeth, and tongue, as well as we still need to do hair, so we'll work on that. Actually, we'll work on hair after we do the texturing. So we'll just come down here and do hair. I know we still need to do a rig, so I'll just write that up here. What else? Oh, probably clothes, that's important. I'm just gonna... Actually, we'll do the rig first, then we'll do the clothes, because we need some of the texture paint data, or the weight paint data, in order to make the clothes based off of, so we'll just go ahead and do that. What else? We want to do, like, maybe some detail sculpting, so I'll just do that. What am I missing? Well, you know what? We have our to-do list here. We have a pretty good idea of what we need to do next. And I suppose I'll just kind of leave it off here. It's coming along nicely. Thank you guys for watching. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow we will start doing the detail sculpting. We'll make a more advanced rig for this guy. We need to UV unwrap. We'll probably add this on here as well. Let's go ahead and unwrap eyes, teeth, and tongue. Well, that's something we have to do as well. But we'll probably just do that first because that'll be easy. We'll just get it out of the way. Then we can start working on some detail sculpting. We'll work on the rig, we'll work on the clothes, and then we'll probably start doing some like some test clothes before we do anything final for them, because the clothes might take a little long, especially since he's going to be wearing a lot of them. Like, for example, he's going to be wearing like a long sleeve shirt under his polo shirt, which needs a collar. He's going to be wearing like cargo pants with fully mounted pockets. He's going to be wearing shoes that have like the little straps on them to kind of tighten them instead of the laces, which should actually be easier than doing laces anyway, so that hopefully shouldn't be too much of a problem. I almost want to make concept art for the shoes just to know exactly what the shape of it's going to be, because I know the shoes are going to be a pretty difficult part of this. Then, yeah, we'll start working on the main texture for the body, the eyes, the teeth, and the tongue, and then we'll work on the hair. I don't know how much of this will get done tomorrow, but this is basically a general idea of what I want to do. For now, I'm a bit tired, and I'm going to go to sleep. I'm still a bit sick from the beginning of this week. I bought a humidifier for the room. It was about $30 at Walmart. And it's actually kind of helping a lot to get rid of the sort of sniffles that I've been having lately. So, yeah. Yeah, this character's actually coming along a lot better than I ever thought it would, you know? You always, you know, like every single version of this model that I've worked on before, I always thought there was some kind of flaw with, or some kind of thing that basically, in my eyes at least, would make it unusable and sort of bad for the scope of the game I want to make. But, and I mean, of course, every single piece of creation that you ever make in life is going to have flaws in it, so you just gotta kind of learn to accept that. But I really like the direction that this model is going. Of course, The eyes look a bit weird, but that's only because we haven't done any texturing for them yet. It's just kind of got this exact same lighting, the exact same reflective texture on it, so that's the only reason why that would look weird. I'm really liking the way the ears look, the hands, the way it all meshes in with the body. I'm really enjoying that. Yeah, I think we're gonna have some fun tomorrow working on this. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. This is actually kind of getting close to completion here. We're gonna start working on the more creative and fun stuff tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you then. Take care.